Ryūichi and Kotarō are two brothers who are always together. Their parents died in a plane crash, and the principal of a prestigious high school, who also lost her family in the same plane crash, takes them in. She doesn't want them to be her new adopted sons though. She wants Ryūichi to be the school's babysitter because he's been taking care of his brother since he was a baby. She tells Ryūichi that they were not meant to be her new family and instead asks him a few questions about how well he can take care of others. Once she is happy, she tells her secretary, Sekawa, to take the brothers to the daycare room at school. Sekawa tells Ryūichi that he's in charge of taking care of the children of the school's teachers. He also tells him that the babysitter club was made to help the female teachers who could not afford childcare, but it doesn't have enough volunteers or money itself. So the chairwoman thought some students could help and hence called Ryūichi and asked him to help at the club. When they go inside, they meet Yusuke, who is the only person working at the daycare. He says hello to Ryūichi and Kotarō and introduces them to Taka, Kirin, Takuma, Kazuma, and Midori. Teachers come to get their kids after school, but Taka is the only one who is still waiting to be picked up. Ryūichi is waiting for his mother to pick him up, but his brother comes to get him instead. Taka doesn't want to go home because he wants to keep playing with Ryūichi, so his older brother hits him on the head and takes him home. Ryūichi takes care of Kotarō, who has been quiet all day, after they leave. When he sees that he has a high fever, he freaks out and runs outside to find Taka's older brother. He asks him to help take him to the nearest hospital. He jumps at the chance to help and shows him the way. The doctor tells Ryūichi that his fever was probably brought on by the stress of moving. He tries to call his parents when he goes outside to get some fresh air, but then he remembers that they are no longer alive. He starts to cry, as anyone would have done in his situation, and the principal finds him and comforts him. She talks about the funeral for all the people who died in the plane crash and says that the only people who didn't cry were him and herself. She tells him in a kind way that he's not alone and doesn't have to be strong on his own. After she leaves, Ryūichi goes back inside to get a much better Kotarō, so they go home. The next day, at 5 in the morning, the principal tells Ryūichi to get up right away and tells them that breakfast and lunch are already ready. She also gave Ryūichi a new uniform, which made him extremely proud. On his way to class, he notices that people are laughing at him and giving him strange looks. He runs into Kamitani and asks if there's something strange about him. Kamitani tells him to turn around, and it turns out that all the cute little kids from the daycare had been following him. A girl named Maria yells at Ryūichi about the kids not being allowed there, so he does his best to round them up and take them back to daycare as quickly as he can. Maria is the best student in the advanced class, and she puts her schoolwork first. She brings Taka's lunch to daycare and says that Miss Kamitani asked her to do so because Taka's brother forgot it. Yusuke takes advantage of the situation by pretending to be sick and asking Maria to take over for him. Because of what happened in the hallway, the kids are afraid of Maria. She breaks down in tears and says that studying is the only thing she is good at and that the more she studies, the more alone she feels. The kids go over to comfort her, and then they all start crying with her. Later, Ryūichi asks Kotarō if he wants to go to the zoo. Before he can blink, all the kids rush over and beg him to go with them. Yusuke tells him he should take everyone, and since he can get paid for working weekends, he will go with him also. The principal gives Ryūichi permission to go to the zoo and even invites her to go with him, but, as expected, she says no. Sekawa had made food for all the kids and added extra for the parents. Kamitani says he's sorry for leaving Taka by himself, but he has training and their mom is busy. The kids have fun exploring the zoo and seeing all the different animals, but when it's time to leave, Taka thinks he sees his older brother and starts to follow him. When Taka follows the man, he finds out it wasn't his brother, and he gets lost. Taka freaks out and cries, like any child his age would, and calls for his brother. Kamitani shows up, and even though Taka tries to hide it, he is very happy to see him. When Valentine's Day comes, the boys talk about whether or not they'll get chocolates, and the girls talk about who they would give them to. The girls talk about Yagi, a boy in the advanced class they all like, and try to give him their chocolates. But Maria freaks out and tells them it's against the rules to give out chocolates on this day. Yagi agrees with Maria and tells the girls to wait until after school. He then asks Maria about the babysitter club and says he wants to join because he loves little kids. Maria tells Yagi to talk to them himself, so he goes to find Ryūichi and asks if he can join. He is surprised that Yagi wants to join the babysitter club because no one else does. Ryūichi makes a note in his head when he sees Yagi give each child a compliment one by one. Maria overhears two students say that Yagi looks at the kids in a very strange way. So she runs to the daycare and finds Yagi with a nosebleed. Suddenly, A friend of Yadi named Nezukan takes him away because he shouldn't join the club. I'm not quite sure what to make of that scene. Anyway, kids start to ask Maria for chocolates, but she tells them no and that it's not allowed on this day. They all start crying, but she tells them that if they can wait until tomorrow, she'll bring them the best chocolate she can find, which makes them happy. Ryūichi gives Maria some chocolates and a compliment as they walk home, which makes her blush. The next morning, Ryūichi has gym classes. A couple of the boys in his group complain that they have gym first period and that it's too cold. When Yuzda and the other kids show up, Ryūichi's classmates start chasing them around the playground so they can cuddle them to warm up. Ryūichi sees Takuma being picked up by a man in a strange outfit, but it turns out that the man is Takuma and Kazuma's father. He says that he dressed that way because he is a famous movie star and didn't want to be seen. He wanted to spend his first day off in 6 months with his kids, but when he picks up Kazuma and tries to play with him, he cries. He gives up and leaves. But as he's walking out of the school, kids see him and start asking for his autograph and a picture. Luckily, his wife comes along and saves him. She tells him that Kazuma might be afraid of him because they were watching a movie together in which he played a baddie. He turns around and sees Kazuma and Takuma. They call him Papa and ask him to play with them, which makes him very happy. The next day, Ryūichi starts his first day of high school. The clubs are looking for new members, but Ryūichi decides to stay with the babysitter club. Yuzda tries to get him to at least check out the other clubs, so they go on a walk to see the drama club, where Kieran's mother is in charge, the cooking club, where Maria is a member, and the baseball club, where Taika's older brother plays. While Ryūichi is putting up a flyer for the babysitter club, Kamitani comes up to him and asks if he can join. Ryūichi asks him why, and he tells him that his brother Taka is there and that Kotarō recruited him. The next day, when Ryūichi wakes up, he feels sick, so the principal takes Kotarō away so that the cold doesn't spread to him. She gives Ryūichi an extra blanket, and Kotarō helps her make food and medicine to make him feel better. He has to work hard just to get 1 drop of juice out of a lemon. For his brother, he'll do anything. After getting better, Ryūichi goes back to the daycare. When he tries to change Midori's diaper, he realizes there are no wipes left to clean her, so she crawls away while he looks for more. The door opens at that moment, and a boy walks in. I don't think he liked the smell. He went to the club to meet Midori, who, if he gets with her mother, will be his future daughter. During class, Ryūichi thinks about it and is confused because he thought Midori's mom was married. When he gets to the daycare, he sees the boy again. He tells Ryūichi that he wants to help Midori's mother because her husband is in heaven. Midori starts to cry just as he's about to tell her how he feels, and her mother tells her that her father is coming home from a trip today. When he realizes he misunderstood Miss Sawatari, he tells her that if she wants to go out with her husband, he can take care of Midori to hide the fact that he was about to tell her he loves her. Kotarō sees someone in the bushes while Ryūichi is drying his clothes, so he brings Ryūichi over to help. It turns out to be Kitsuki-kan, Nezukan's brother, so Ryūichi calls Nezu, but he doesn't have his number. So he calls Yadi instead, who comes with Maria. Nezukan works while still in school because he has a big family and they need the money. And his little brother says he ran away because no one would buy him a game. His other young brother suddenly comes out of the bush and calls Yadi a pervert. Ryūichi and Yadi pull them out of the bush after they have talked. At that moment, Nezu shows up with the game Kitch wanted, and he tells them they should thank father and give it to the others. The next day at school, Ryūichi forgets his lunch, so Yuzda lets Kotarō bring it to him so he can see how well he does with his first extra job. Yuzda gets the boy who is in love with Midori's mother to watch over Kotarō in exchange for a picture of her. On the other hand, when Ryūichi's classmates see that he doesn't have his lunch, they offer to give him theirs. When Kotarō is climbing the stairs, he bumps into a student and falls, dropping Ryūichi's lunch. The student who was supposed to watch over him saves the day. He helps Kotarō climb the rest of the stairs, and when they reach Ryūichi's classroom, Kotarō gives him his lunch. However, Ryūichi was already full from the food his classmates gave him, but he doesn't say anything because he didn't want Kotaro's hard work to go to waste, so he picks him up and they eat their lunch together. When Yuki talks to her friends, they ask her how she feels about Ryūichi. She gets red in the face and tells them to shut up. The girls then starts to talk about how handsome he is and how great of a person he is. They talk about how worried they are about Maria, but how she shouldn't be a problem because she only cares about her schoolwork. What they didn't know was that Maria was walking by and heard everything. Ryūichi comes up to her at that moment and asks if she needs anything. She tells him to go away and gets angry when the girls talk about her. She thinks about how she feels about Ryūichi as she walks away. When Kieran and Kotarō come up to her, they ask her if she wants to play. Maria tells Kieran that they can't play here, which makes him cry. She tells them that she doesn't play with them at the daycare because Ryūichi is there. Tyron asks her if she hates him, but she says she doesn't. So, Kieran asks her if she likes him, and she says with a bright red face that she definitely doesn't. Then, Kieran suggests that they make a plan to make Maria like Ryūichi, even though she already does. Maria agrees to the plan and goes with them to Ryūichi's class. Kotarō goes in and takes Ryūichi out on a date to show that he is loving and accepting. Maria says he's too nice. So Kieran says he can be strict too and tells Ryūichi to hit her or she'll be a bad girl. But Kamitani hits her instead, and crying she jumps into Ryūichi's arms. Maria comes in and tells her that it was all a mistake and that she doesn't hate Ryūichi. This makes Kieran ask if she does like him. She gets angry again and walks away in a huff. Ryūichi runs after her and grabs her by the arm, but instead of telling her he loves her, which is what we all wanted to see, he just says that her skirt had a sticker on it. The next day, Ryūichi discovers a love letter in his locker and wonders who placed it there. Yuki observes him receiving the letter but informs her buddy that she did not leave it. In the meanwhile, Maria appears and orders them to quit loitering where others are attempting to leave. His classmate then begins to read the letter. It was a declaration of love for Ryūichi that concluded with a spot to meet the following morning. Ryūichi was unable to focus and spends the remainder of the day contemplating what to do. As his face was red from excessive flushing, the principal believes he may have a cold and instructs him to take a hot bath and go to sleep. When Ryūichi and Kotarō were walking to school, he was completely preoccupied with what to say to his secret lover. He loses Kotarō and encounters Maria and Yuki, who had arrived early to see who had sent Ryūichi the love letter. They volunteered to assist him to find Kotarō, but it turns out that Kamitani already located him. We noticed that Kotarō ventured into someone's yard to find Ryūichi lemon since he believes that he is ill and needs to recover, when in fact he has been acting strangely because a girl likes him. Ultimately, Ryūichi rejects the girl who wrote him the letter since Kotarō was his top priority. In the meantime, Maria and Yuki were hiding in a bush and listening to everything. Afterwards, Kamitani and Taka invite Ryūichi and Kotarō to a celebration. They are appropriately attired for the event, whereas Kamitani was dressed in much more casual attire. He wagers with Taka that he will lose his sword by the end of the day, and they begin to walk. Taka finds a game he likes to play that offers a cool prize for winning. But it was obvious that the game was rigged against him, so Kamitani dragged him away. They encounter Houston, who was performing a part-time job that was requested by his neighbor. At that point, Taka discovers he has misplaced his sword and starts crying. Consequently, everyone begins searching for it. The sword is not found, so Kamitani informs him that he can play the game he desired provided he quits trying to find the sword. Taka accepts, and as Kotarō pulls one of the cords, the sword he had previously lost emerges. As an apology, the dishonest employee gives them the newest gaming system. Before returning to the daycare routine, Kamitani had argued with his brother for drawing on his prized signature baseball, but instead of beating him as he normally would, he simply ignores him. Outside, Ryūichi tries to speak with him and reveals that Kotarō also damaged some of his belongings, but Kamitani claims that he wasn't furious about the ball and doesn't see why his actions were bad. On the other side, the principal was lecturing Taka. She demands he hand her the sword he treasures and pretends to shatter it in order to demonstrate to Taka how his brother felt when he messed up his ball. Ultimately, they reconcile. The day of the Academy Festival had finally arrived, and the childcare room was also required to take part. All the children's parents will be present, as well as Kieran's father. When he wonders where the attractive babysitter females are, Yusta pulls a practical joke on him by presenting him to Kamitani and Ryūichi wearing wigs. He explains that he does not feel comfortable leaving his daughter with male babysitters because he does not want his daughter's mind to be confused. Ryūichi stops him as he is ready to depart with his daughter. He appeared to quickly forget that Ryūichi was a male, but as Midori slips off the wig, he becomes even more desperate to get his daughter away from the daycare. Kamitani intervenes, who Kieran's father again mistakes for a girl. Midori's father enters at that time, accompanied by the boy in love with Midori's mother. All the parents recognize how quickly their children are maturing at the same time. Kamitani's mother unexpectedly comes at the daycare and informs the children that eggs are about to hatch in the science lab and asks if they would like to go see them. The eggs are scheduled to hatch the next day, as Taka's mother tried to inform the youngsters before they hurried off in excitement. The next morning, Kotarō was thrilled to see the chicks. There early, Taka's mother welcomes them inside her classroom. Ryūichi and Kotarō eagerly waited beside the incubator as the eggs were ready to hatch, and eventually the eggs hatched. Later, when all the other children arrive to see the chicks, Taka is envious that Kotarō has all of them, but his yelling drives them away. The winter season has arrived, and Yusuke calls in ill. He asks Sekawa to substitute for him that day. He had no idea what to do, but with the aid of the youngsters, he learned to adjust to the situation, and everything went well thereafter. Christmas had finally arrived, and Taka was excited about Santa, but Kamitani almost slipped up by telling him that Santa does not exist. However, Ryūichi interrupted him before he could finish. Ryūichi did not have the funds to purchase a Santa suit and his cell phone was broken, but due to his classmates he was able to get a Santa outfit. On Ryūichi arrives home, Sekawa has prepared a special supper for him and informs him that the principal cannot join them because she has a very important meeting and he cannot either since he has work to complete. Ryūichi had planned to put on a Santa costume. His classmates helped prepare and give Kotarō his presents as his dad used to do, but when he leaves to go and change, Kotarō would not leave him alone, following him all the way into the bathroom. At that moment the doorbell rang and Ryūichi along with Kotarō opened it to find everyone had come together to surprise them. The principal gives Ryūichi a new mobile phone because his previous one was broken, and everyone then celebrates Christmas together. The end. I hope you enjoyed this anime recap. Take care and see you again soon.